Hi everyone, welcome back. The other day I did what I called an ontological argument against the existence of God from failed creation, which I will link somewhere around here. Today I have another ontological argument against God's existence, but this time from failed communication, focused on the idea that a perfect being, having all great-making properties, must also be a perfect communicator. Before I present the argument, I want to start off with a simple thought experiment. Picture yourself back in school, or maybe you are still in school. You're sitting in a classroom, trying to learn, and we've all had that teacher. The one who's confusing, unclear, maybe even contradicts himself. Some students think they understand what's going on, but they argue about what he said, how to do the assignment, or what's going to be on the test. Everyone's lost, even the teaching assistant supporting Jenny. It's a mess. Now think of the other kind of teacher. The brilliant one. The one who knows exactly how to reach every student, even Kevin, and you remember how difficult he was. This teacher explains things in a way that clicks. They don't shout, they don't threaten, they just teach clearly. And the whole room lights up with understanding. That's a good teacher. That's a great communicator. Now imagine a perfect communicator. One who is limitless. One who can always convey their message clearly to every listener, no matter their background, language, or abilities. If God exists, and if God is by definition the greatest being that can be conceived, then God must be this kind of communicator, the best possible one who never fails to be understood. Because perfection isn't just about abstract power or knowledge. It includes communicative excellence, the concrete ability to make oneself understood by anyone. So here's the formal argument. 1. God is by definition the greatest conceivable being. 2. It is possible to conceive of a being that communicates perfectly, whose message is clear to all regardless of language, culture, or cognitive ability. 3. A being that communicates perfectly, that is, in such a way that all creatures understand the intended message regardless of language, culture, or cognition, is greater than a being whose communication results in confusion, contradiction, and misunderstanding. 4. Therefore, perfect communication is a property of the greatest conceivable being. 5. Therefore, if God exists, God is a perfect communicator. 6. In reality, we do not observe perfect communication. There are thousands of conflicting religious claims. Many people receive no message at all. Even those who claim to receive a message interpret it in radically different ways. 7. Therefore, we are not experiencing the communication of a perfect communicator. 8. Therefore, either A. God does not possess the property of perfect communication, or B. A perfect communicator does not exist. 9. But if a being lacks perfect communication, it cannot be the greatest conceivable being, and therefore cannot be God. So option 8A must be rejected. Therefore, God, defined as the greatest conceivable being, which necessarily includes perfect communication, does not exist. I'm anticipating objections. Number 1. Some might argue that perfect clarity would undermine human freedom. But We don't say a teacher robs students of free will by being understandable. In fact, clarity enables informed choice. It doesn't take it away. I've made a video about this. I'll try and link it here as well. 2. But humans are the problem. God did communicate perfectly. We just didn't listen, or aren't listening properly. Let's return to the teacher analogy for this one. If a lesson ends and only a few students say they understand some of it, while the rest are confused or lost, we don't blame the students. We say the teacher failed to teach clearly. Now imagine that teacher had unlimited power, infinite knowledge, and perfect insight into each student's mind. They are the best teacher you've ever encountered, with all the special educational assistants and departments all rolled into one being. What excuse could that teacher have? None. They would reach every student every time. A perfect communicator has no need to rely on fallible messengers, ancient manuscripts, or second-hand stories passed through centuries of translation. That's like a teacher skipping class entirely and instead sending in a scrambled PowerPoint in Comic Sans delivered by a group of substitute teachers who all contradict each other about the topic, the assignment, or even what subject is being taught. A perfect communicator would make the lesson unmistakably clear to everyone. But that's not the world we live in. The world looks exactly like what we'd expect if no perfect communicator had ever spoken, and nothing like what we'd expect if the greatest possible being had tried to. If a teacher gives a lesson, and students walk away with contradictory views on what the topic even was, no one calls that teacher great. And if we expect that much from our human teachers, why expect less from a purported being defined as perfect? If that's what counts as perfect, then the word has lost all meaning. So that's my ontological argument against the existence of God from failed communication. If you found this video interesting, please like it and subscribe for more. See you next time. Bye.